Hello, I'm from the Sales Pilots and my name is Tony Ewald Clausen. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why it is that salespeople are so very bad at actually reaching procurement and reaching the purchase managers. Now, if we ask purchase managers what it is that they dislike about salespeople, why they don't succeed in doing what they're there to do, namely helping the procurement or the purchase managers to actually buy the product, we found a very, very interesting list. So if you list the 10 things that most procurement managers says, this is what I don't like about salespeople, here they are. They talk too much, they ask too much, they try to flatter, they stay too long, they don't talk or do or act in the interest of my organization or my company, the sales arguments are too weak, they haven't prepared well enough, they try to work outside or around the purchasing department or the procure department. Now 9 and 10 are really funny because that's actually very close to 1 and 2, namely they ask too little and they listen too little. Now, does procurement and purchase managers, do they like salespeople? Well, they don't like the salespeople who does the 10 things I just named. But of course they have to like salespeople because salespeople are the ones that enable them to do their job, namely to do purchasing or procurement. So what I'm going to do now is to give you a salesperson's perspective of what most salespeople actually do and think and why they do so. How come you end up with a list that goes like they ask too much, they ask too little, they're not prepared, they don't have argumentation, they try to go around the procurement department? Why is it that they do so? And it's because what I call purchase behavior and sales behavior. Now, I'm going to give you an insight into the sales behavior. The sales behavior is that the sales guy thinks, and they actually think, that they need to see your need, your specific need for your company. They need to see that need in the perspective of their product. Now the funny thing with this is that they are so focused on their product that often they can't see that when you have to purchase something, especially if you have to purchase something new, that this is a change for you, because purchase is change management. So the sales guy actually thinks that he or she knows better than you what your needs are. And of course this is not true. You know what your needs are. Some of the time you don't know all of your needs, but you are the one that knows your company or your department the best. But the sales guys are led to think that if they can actually make you understand, or if they can actually make you understand their product, then you will apply your need to the product. This is when they talk too much. This is when they start blabbering on about their product. You don't really care, because what you care about before you buy something is what will it do for me and how will it change my life, how will it change my company. So when the sales guy talks too much or asks too many questions, the reason that they ask too many questions is they think they need information for you to apply to their product. So they'll actually ask you lots of questions, and then they'll say whatever questions you give, whatever answers you give to those questions, they'll apply that to their product. But it doesn't solve your overview, because before you have to buy anything, you need to have an overview. What will it do for me? What will it do to my department, to my daily life, to everything we do? How do I integrate this into my organization, into my system? But the sales guy never learned this, because they're so focused on the one thing that's important for the sales guy, namely themselves and their product. They need to sell products to you. So you need to help him understand that even if I wanted your product, buying your product is just a part of it, because we need to have your product to fit into whatever reality I have. So, but they actually think that they need to see your need in relationship to their product, and they think they need to take information from you and apply onto their product. Most salesmen also have the misconception that price is important. And you're partly to blame in procurement, because you often hit on price and say, well, we need a better price, we need a better price. So they actually think that price is very important, but it's not. What is important to most purchaser is, of course, something totally different, namely the price compared to the money I have. So spending £100 compared to a budget of £2,000 is quite a lot. But to spend £2,000 out of a budget of £2 million, it's not that much. We perceive these two figures totally different. So what is important for the sales guy is he thinks or she thinks that it's the price that's important to you, and it's not necessarily the price alone. It is all the things around buying the product. It is the service of the product, it's how it's delivered, it is what happens if the product goes wrong, will there be training, will there be something we could do if our people, our organization doesn't understand the product, and so on and so forth. But the sales guy doesn't understand this. They don't think. They have learned and been told again and again, it's the price is the price. Partly by you, been told that price is important, but it's not. It's only important in relationship to what I can afford and where I could spend my other money. And what else it will give me. The reason why salesmen flatter, or salespeople flatter procurement and purchase managers is for one reason alone. It works. And flattery works because our brain can't help, even if we know it's insincere flatter. If it's believable, we will believe it. So if I were to say directly to you now, you're a beautiful person, I think you're very intelligent, and I think you're very competent. Chances are you'll actually like me a little bit better, even though obviously I don't know you because I'm talking to a camera. But you actually feel I am talking to you, so flatter works. But the reason that they flatter the salespeople is because they've been told you need to sell to the decision maker. However, you as procurement or purchasing manager, you're not the decision maker. By far, you're the decision maker that has to take that product back into your organization of some kind and make it work. And if you've been in procurement very long, you know sometimes you buy something with all the best intentions, but your organization won't use it. And then you're the one with the bad decision. So when you purchase something, one of the things you want to make sure is that whatever it is that you buy actually needs to work with the rest of your organization, in the rest of your system, with your management or with the blue collar or white collar people that are actually going to use whatever product you're going to buy. But neither you nor, well, you might be aware of it, but the sales guy is not aware of it. The sales guy is only having one thing in mind: I need to sell to the decision maker. And if you're in procurement or in your purchase, you are the decision maker in his or her mind, which is of course wrong. So the sales guy instead should be more focused on actually talking to everybody who's in there, the stakeholders, everybody who can influence the decision in one way or another. But they don't think like that. And you need to tell this to your salespeople. You need to tell this to the people that comes into your office and want to sell you stuff. Say, so how, what can go wrong in my organization? And if you start asking these questions, you'll get a lot of frustrated salespeople because they're not used to thinking like this. And one of the other reasons the procurement don't like when you have weak arguments from salespeople, or when they talk too much or listen too little, that is actually that they think they have to convince you. But nowadays, nobody wants to be convinced. Everybody wants to choose a product. So if you're a procurement and purchase manager, you want to choose a product. You don't want somebody to sell you a product. You want to choose a product. So if I'm going to convince you, there's a risk that you're going to get buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is the worst thing that salespeople can get. But they're not aware of this. They still think they need to convince you. And what I say to salespeople when I train them is I ask them, do you have a partner? You know, do you have a wife or a husband or a boyfriend or a girlfriend? And if they say yes, I say to them, did you convince them? Did you convince your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your partner that they should be with you? And they say no. Well, sometimes they say yes, and then they say no. Would you like them to convince you to be with them? So if you wouldn't like your love partner, whatever love relationship you have, you wouldn't like that person to convince you, how is it that you think that a procurement manager or a purchase manager would like to be convinced? They don't. They want to know that they're taking the right decision in comparison to everything else that is influencing the purchase, which is a lot of other things than the sales guy is aware of. The other misconception that most salespeople suffer from is that the solution itself is important to you. And actually it's not, but they think it is. What is important to you is that you maintain status quo or you improve status quo. That you improve whatever it is with as little disturbance as possible. But they don't know that. They think they have to give you information about their product because they think the product is your solution. And this is why they keep talking and keep telling you about all kind of specifications of their product. Because that's what they've been told. Incompetent teachers, I agree, but that's what they've been told. That's what the whole world has been telling them. You have to give the customer information about your product, which is not what the customer wants before they have purchased. What you want to know is, what will the result be? What are the risks? What can go wrong when I buy your product? How do I make sure that my system, my family, my department, my company, how can I make sure that whatever product, whatever new thing I'm introducing into my reality, how will that affect the rest of my reality? That's what's important to you guys. But salespeople don't know this. And this brings me to the final step where they try to flatter, they talk too much, they try to go around the purchase department, they don't have enough argumentation and stuff like this. It's because they actually think that it's enough when they talk too little, when they ask too little and doesn't listen. They actually think that they just need you to like them. So if you were to buy something from me, all I would need to do is for you to like me, which is of course not true. Because you need to like me and you need to have confidence in me, but just because you have confidence in me does not mean you're going to buy from me. And that's why often these sales guys, they come back like a broke cousin, you know. They just come back and keep talking to you, keep being good to you, keep flattering you, inviting you to golf tours and whatever, what have you not. Because they think it's enough that you like them and that you trust them, but it's not. Now, in my daily life, this is what I do. I try to make salespeople understand that they should not try to convince their customers, they should not try to manipulate their customers by flattering you. They shouldn't flatter you, actually, only if there's something to flatter about. They shouldn't think that it's only the solution, and it's only the price, that it's only the product information. I do my best to teach the salespeople out there how to change their behavior so that procurement and purchase and sales know that we have common interests. Because a real sales guy would never want to sell something to a customer that the customer rejects or regrets to ever have purchased. So this is why that sometimes purchase managers and procurement, they have a hard time understanding salespeople. Because what is it that these people think when they ask too much, ask too little, when they try to flatter, when they try to go around the purchase department, when they stay too long, when they talk too much or talk too little? Why is it that these sales guys behave like that? I'm going to list them again just for you to understand. And my solution to this is that you need to teach your sales guys to sell you stuff. Yeah, I know this sounds crazy, but to stop talking about the product specifications and start talking about what will it do when I introduce it into my company. So here it is again. They think that they need to see your need in the perspective of their product. You don't do that. You think about whatever solution. There's actually 3 reasons why you ever purchase a product. It is to maintain status quo, it is to improve status quo, or it is to improve or solve a problem. That's the 3 reasons that anybody would ever buy anything. To maintain status quo, to improve status quo, or because status quo hurts too much, to improve or to solve a problem and thereby getting back to a status quo which is better than the current one. That's why people buy. That's why you buy. Most salespeople don't know this. Now you might think, why don't they know this? This is their job. Well, I'm doing what I can to teach them, and you need to teach them as well. They think they have to see your need in their perspective of the product. They think that they need to take whatever information you gave them and apply the information that fits on their product to their product while they're arguing for it towards you. They think that a low price is the most important thing for you, which is not always the case. They think that they should only concentrate on the decision maker, you, the purchase or procurement manager, which is also not true, because we need to make sure that the stakeholders are actually also buying in to the decision to buy this product. They think that they need to convince you, although you don't want to be convinced, you want to choose. They think the solution, the product itself, the hairdryer itself, or whatever it is you're going to buy, that is the only thing that is your concern. That is the most important thing for you. Where in fact, you know and I know what the most important thing for you is: to have as little disturbance in your organization as possible, to maintain status quo or improve status quo or get rid of a problem without creating a new problem. And because they think that the product or the solution is so important, that's why they keep giving you tons and tons and tons of information about the product. Information you're not really interested in right now, not before you have taken the purchasing decision and actually decided, I'm going to buy from that person or from that company. And finally, they think that it's enough that they have your trust, which is of course not true, because you trust lots of salespeople that you don't buy from. And sometimes you actually buy from people you don't trust. All right, this was a small insight into how salespeople think and hopefully how you can use this information in the purchasing and procurement. I hope that this gave you a new insight, and I wish you all the best out there in the reality of buying and selling.